Oh, Councillor Geoff, who has also been very active on the...
Good afternoon. Oh, you can hear me, that's too much. This must be 2 decades since I trod these boards when I was studiously learning my lines for cats. Never ever played to a house like this though. I was given a document, it's called the Greenbelt Development Pressures in the Caterham Area, focusing on the proposals for the St Lawrence's Hospital land in Chaldon. And this was a report written by Claire Woodburn when she was at Reigate College in 1990. Now, Greenbelt has always been under pressure. That's why it was put there, to stop the sprawl from London and so on, a belt, and that's what belts do. So this business of having pressure applied on this area again is just another matter of looking at where we are. In this document it tells me in 1955 there were 3 reasons for the green belt to exist. And then in 1984 there was a 4th reason. Sorry, is that better? A 4th reason was added. Well, now we have, since March 2012, this document called the National Planning Policy Framework. David's referred to it repeatedly, and this was a great summarisation of planning policy guidance, planning law, and it's not a very long document, it's quite easy to find and it's quite easy to read. And in here we have 5 reasons for protecting the green belt. So that's a good thing. But on the other side, of course, economies change, businesses change, populations change, and the pressure on the area just increases all the while. So we have to look at how we deal with things. And that's why you have governments and local councils and village councils and meetings like this. They all communicate what goes on and how we deal with things between us. In the past 5 years, there have been quite a lot of changes in planning law. Certainly the introduction of the NPPF was one of the major changes, and along with that was work done by Greg Clark on what is now the Localism Act. He'd spent 6 years on that, and the thing that was really driving that were people in Tunbridge Wells, for whom he was their MP, and they were getting fed up with their back gardens being built on all the time. Out of the back of that came the Localism Act, and there were a whole bunch of other things around that. But one of the things in the Localism Act was this concept of neighbourhood planning. Now, part of neighbourhood planning was, well, actually, if you went and went to a community and asked the local blokes how you do things, you'd probably find you could actually do very well, because they'd know what works and what you could put where. If you were doing the planning from further afield, you couldn't be so accurate. You might come up with things that didn't fit very well, because the other side of the situation was that a lot of communities didn't like a distant town hall telling them what was going to get built where. So it's all part of that kind of feedback from people, and meetings like this are good to see. So with the neighbourhood planning system, because of work that was going on in Caterham with ABC and so on, and that was supported by the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, Mr Prescott I think he was, there was a team of people who were already concerned about the quality of planning in this area. So when the neighbourhood planning regime came out, they applied to Tandridge District Council for a demarcation of a neighbourhood planning area, and in this case we've got the 4 parishes of Chaldon, Whiteleaf, Caterham Hill and Valley. There are other neighbourhood plans in the area, Woldingham for example, and most of those other ones are single parish schemes. They're a little bit quicker to deliver. The 4 parish scheme, that's the CR3 forum area, covers about 29,000 people, and in neighbourhood planning terms this is classified as complex. It's not something I disagree with, but we are finally reaching the stage where we've got a meeting next Friday at Hillcroft at 7 o'clock. Please come along, and we should have the plan launched to the public for that Friday. The information that the plan has published is a printed document for the public to consult on that contains the planning policies that the neighbourhood plan has evolved. And behind that, principally on the website, will be a main document, 7 reports on the different subject areas we've looked at, and behind that an appendices document, which is quite large, but it's a complete, almost doomsday book of facts and figures for the area. The neighbourhood planning process certainly is well established. You have, as David was saying, the Tandridge plan, and neighbourhood planning is a component of that, but it's inside the box, but it's a very important piece of the whole picture. Neighbourhood planning cannot override strategic aspects of a local plan, but of course neighbourhood planning does have much more knowledge of a local area, and certainly Tandridge will be passing across to neighbourhood planning areas issues of design guidance and certainly details like that. I think the most important thing from this work is the amount of research that's gone into it and the amount of facts and figures we've got, which very happily will go on to inform the local plan process too. So in terms of timing, that's great, even though the whole exercise has taken far longer than I'd have wanted it to, but we are where we are, and I think we're in a very good place. In terms of looking ahead, there is planning policy guidance in terms of how an evolving neighbourhood plan is to fit with an evolving local plan, and the basic guidance is that the neighbourhood planning group work with the local planning authority and make sure the whole thing comes together so that the neighbourhood plan has every chance of success. As with any consultation, a consultation is meaningful, and you start the consultation because you haven't finished all your policy ideas. That's why you need the input from the people you're consulting, and I know this meeting will finish with how you're going to comment. In terms of the neighbourhood plans, the same thing, we'll be inviting comments for that, and our consultation period will probably run to mid-April, somewhere there, we'll set a date. In terms of Tandridge's consultation, the questions are open, they really are listening to your views. Yes, it's kicked off, and certainly the interest in Chaldon has been kicked off by responses to what might happen with certain sites. That's kind of the wrong way round, but if it's got you here, then that's been a very good outcome. I'm so pleased to see you all. Really. Finally, moving on, this process does not stop. Local plans are reviewed. The current local plan today from Tandridge is a thing called the Core Strategy 2008. That wasn't 20 years ago. The local plan will be revised, the timetable something like 2017 to get it published, and that will be reviewed in 5 years. The neighbourhood plan, if it's made, that will be reviewed in 5 years. We will be needing people to take this work forward, to continue to monitor sites, to get involved with future reviews. So if there are more residents groups forming and more people coming forward to get involved in overseeing and keeping an eye on what goes on, I'm really pleased to hear that, because they'll be the people carrying this work forward that has been started so well by the first folks. And the more people we can get involved in the community in this, the better we can address the questions in time for the future. The National Planning Policy Framework hasn't been revised since 2012, so what's pushing 4 years ago. There is a thing out called the Housing and Planning Bill, so for those of you with the enthusiasm, I do urge you to look at that consultation and respond to it, and the consultation period has been extended to the 22nd of February. So it's not just Tandridge. To pick up on the point made earlier, there are national policies, they are open for consultation. If we've got your interest, that's great, please respond. And we look forward to hearing from you, certainly at the Tandridge level and certainly on the CR3 Forum Neighbourhood Plan. Thank you. Questions or not?
Yeah, we'll do some questions if there are any. Roger Davies, just in the front here, first of all.
Thank you. Hello? Yeah. Can I cut to the chase? The local plan says if they are going to build 9,400 houses over the next 20 years, the only two possibilities within their approaches are to build an R golf course. That is the only option they have. They happen to put 1,000 houses on golf course. CR3 was, the neighbourhood plan, was initially created to resist developments in the north with all of the, Tandridge continues to put all of the development in the north of this borough rather than the south. Can you tell me what the CR3 considers to be the amount of houses that will be built in this area and where will they be built? Because I know that you've done those studies, but nobody will answer that specific question.
The latest edition of the housing report, which is one of the chapters of the whole plan, was I think the last edition was issued 20th of December. I would have to refer to that to answer your question particularly. The neighbourhood plan, you can't write a neighbourhood plan to resist development pressures in a particular area. You can use it to inform in terms of planning issues in a particular area. Those are the rules we have to follow. Now, if that informs other groups to then go on and do some lobbying and so on and so forth, then that's great. That's a good purpose. But I'd have, if you're looking at particular numbers, you have to look at how you do the housing and therefore what your densities are in terms of how many units of accommodation per hectare and that kind of thing. And having worked out what kind of housing you're going for, then you can put a number to it. If you're building lots of bungalows in half-hectare plots, then you're going to get a low density, you'll have a low number. If you're following some of the suggestions in this, with high-density units near things like railway stations, you could be running at 100, 120 per hectare, and that gives you much higher number of, much higher population in a certain amount of space. So you need to work through what kinds of housing you need, what your demographics tell you, before you can evolve the pattern of housing, mix that with the sites, and then you can get a number. It's not a simple answer. Sorry.
But you've been working on it for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
and therefore you've come up with an answer, or have you?
We've come up with the information that we're consulting on. We're in exactly the same position as the local plan. We've got some policies set out and we need to consult on them because we haven't decided on the final answers. That's what consultation is for. We have the information to inform the consultation. We're not being dogmatic, that's not the process. We need to hear from you as to what your views are. Thank you.
I think there was just a point in there that Councillor Waiton would like to come back on as well.
Thank you very much. I know it may be a slip of the tongue, but I'm going to jump on it every time. Tandridge have not said they're going to build 9,400 houses in Tandridge. We have not said that. We have an OAN which says that should be the need for Tandridge, but Tandridge itself has not made any decision about how many houses we're building. I need to say that because there is a difference.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay, we have one down here.
You're talking about the consultation for going in, comments going in from 26th of February, is that true? Is it true, as I understand it, that they have to be in by 12 noon on the 26th?
I'm not sure. I think it's midnight, but
So it would be safer to make sure they're in by the 25th? Yes. That's what I was hoping for. Thank you.
I would get it in. If you've got it, get it in.
Yeah, that's, I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the village hall? I don't know if there's anything in the school hall at the moment. Okay, we'll move on. Geoff, just to reiterate, can you confirm when we hope to have the neighbourhood plan public information?
Well, we've got, we should have the reports back from the printers early next week, and we've got the reports just to set out on the website. Hopefully that'll be done by the middle of the week, and then we can go public after that. So watch your space. Indeed.
Thank you very much.